The flight attendant's voice sliced through the hushed cabin like a blade. "Excuse me, ma'am, this isn't the welfare line. First class is for paying customers." Every head turned toward row 2A, where a tall black woman sat quietly, her tablet balanced on her lap. She didn't flinch, didn't raise her voice, didn't even blink. She just looked up, her dark eyes steady as she replied softly, "I have a first-class ticket." The attendant, Jessica Miller, snatched the boarding pass from her hand and held it to the light, squinting as though she'd uncovered a fake. Then, with a flick of her wrist, she slapped it back against the woman's chest. The sound cracked through the silence. Passengers shifted uncomfortably. A businessman in 1C reached for his phone, already hitting record. An older woman whispered to her husband, "They always try this." The murmurs stung more than the words themselves. But the passenger didn't move. She adjusted her blazer, a flash of her expensive watch catching the cabin lights. Her name was Dr. Maya Richardson, and though none of them knew it yet, she held more power over this flight than the captain himself. "Ma'am." Jessica's voice grew louder, now playing to an audience. "People like you can't just sneak into first class. Security will deal with this." She tapped her headset, summoning officers. Meanwhile, she flipped her phone to selfie mode and whispered into a live stream, "Y'all, we got drama up here. Another one trying to scam her way into first." Her viewer count ticked upward. 30, 50, 100 people tuned in instantly. Across the aisle, a young Latino woman shifted in her seat, discomfort etched on her face. She had seen that look before, the look of being judged before being believed. But she stayed quiet. Heavy footsteps echoed up the jet bridge. 2 security officers boarded, filling the narrow aisle with their presence. Officer Daniels barely glanced at Maya before speaking. "What's the situation?" Jessica pointed. "Passengers in the wrong seat, refusing to move to coach." Daniels turned toward Maya. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to gather your belongings." Maya didn't flinch. Instead, she pulled out her phone and tapped 3 quick messages, one to her assistant, one to her legal team, and one to someone labeled simply, "Chairman, private line." Then she placed her phone back on the tray table and folded her hands calmly. "I'm waiting for the captain," she said evenly. The businessman snorted into his phone's camera. "This is what entitlement looks like, folks. Trying to sneak into first without paying. Unreal." His video was already climbing in shares. Minutes ticked down toward takeoff. The tension thickened. More passengers whispered, some nodding in agreement with Jessica, others visibly uneasy. That's when the senior flight manager, Robert Jenkins, entered the cabin. Clipboard in hand, pressed uniform immaculate, he scanned the situation. "What's the delay?" Jessica straightened. "Passenger in the wrong seat, sir. Refusing to move." Jenkins studied Maya, his eyes narrowing. Something about her didn't match the profile of a scammer. She was too calm, too measured. "Ma'am, may I see your identification?" Maya's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Of course." She handed him her ID and boarding pass without hesitation. He checked the documents. First-class ticket, seat 2A, purchased directly through the airline. ID, Dr. Maya Richardson. Address, Buckhead, Atlanta's most exclusive neighborhood. Everything appeared legitimate, yet Jenkins had been in this business long enough to distrust appearances. "These documents look real," he said, "but we've had issues with forgeries before. I'll need to verify this." Maya didn't argue. She simply slid a slim leather case from her blazer, pulled out a black business card, and placed it face down on her tray. "Before you make any decisions," she said softly, "I suggest you let the captain review this personally." The words carried weight. Even the officers paused. Moments later, Captain Rodriguez entered the cabin. A veteran pilot with 30 years in the skies, his presence commanded respect. But when his eyes landed on the card Maya revealed, his face changed instantly. He froze. Recognition. Shock. A flicker of fear. He ordered everyone to step back. "Officers, stand down. Now." The businessman's camera caught everything. His live stream audience erupted with questions. What was on that card? Who is this woman? Finally, Maya lifted it into plain view. The gold lettering gleamed under the cabin lights. Richardson Aerospace Industries. Dr. Maya Richardson, Chief Executive Officer and Founder. The entire cabin gasped. Phones zoomed in, capturing the revelation. Someone muttered, "That's the company that leases half of Skylink's planes." The truth spread like wildfire online. Within minutes, aviation forums and news outlets were ablaze. What followed was chaos for the airline. The captain apologized profusely, but Maya wasn't satisfied with empty words. She calmly outlined the violations: false accusations, hostile treatment, live streaming without consent, all against both company policy and federal law. Then she revealed her second card: Meridian Investment Partners, Managing Partner, Transportation Division. Not only did she own the aircraft, but she also held a stake in the airline itself. In that moment, the power dynamics flipped. The woman they had tried to humiliate held their jobs, contracts, and reputations in her hands. Passengers stared in stunned silence. Jessica's live stream died abruptly, but not before thousands had seen her sneering into the camera. Her career was finished before the plane even left the gate. By the time the plane finally pushed back, nearly 25 minutes late, Skylink Airlines had already issued a public apology, promised sweeping reforms, and terminated the employees involved. Maya Richardson didn't raise her voice once, yet she shook an entire corporation to its core. 6 months later, the ripple effects were undeniable. Complaints of discrimination on Skylink flights dropped dramatically. New protocols were put in place, including bias training and a 24-hour passenger advocacy hotline. Other airlines followed suit. Maya founded the Travel with Dignity Foundation, offering legal aid to travelers who face discrimination. She could have destroyed the airline with lawsuits and vengeance, but instead she chose a different kind of victory: systematic change. Her quiet power proved that sometimes the most devastating response doesn't come from anger or noise, but from preparation, principle, and the unshakable knowledge of who you are. And for every passenger who had ever been silenced or shamed for not looking like they belonged, Maya's story was no longer just hers. It was theirs, too. True power isn't about shouting louder. It's about using your voice wisely, standing firm in your dignity, and turning injustice into lasting change.